If you think a few missing buttons is reason not to buy the Fuji XE4, you're making a big mistake. Right, so I've just picked up an XE4. Now, I wanted one because I always use this. This is the X100V, and I wanted something pretty similar, but something I could change the lenses on, because I really like 35mm. I like 23, but I like ages ago I had an X Pro 2 and I always used to use the 35mm. That was the F2 version. This is the 1.4, but I always used 35mm. It's one of my favourite focal lengths, so that's what, 50mm on a full frame. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was everyone's kind of moaning that Fuji have taken lots of buttons away. I know they've taken the D-pad off, but they've taken the D-pad off on a lot of cameras. My question is, how often do you change your settings when you're out and about? How many buttons do you need? I mean, when I first got the V, I was thinking, oh yeah, I used to use that D-pad for this, that and the other, like ISO, and I can't even remember now what I used to use it for, but I'm fine with that, and it's a really good camera. Everyone who has one, I think, has gotten used to using it. You don't really see anybody moaning about that camera. So I think the main two things that people don't like is ISO, but I think even the old one, I mean, I'm not sure, but I don't think the old one had an ISO, not like it does on the V, where you've got shutter speed and ISO on one dial. The XE3 never had that, but it has the dial on the front, so you know, you can change the ISO there and use the top dial for your shutter speed if you want to use it in manual mode. And the other thing, I think what everyone is moaning about is the switch for focus. So autofocus, manual focus and continuous focus. There used to be the little dial on the front, whereas like the V has got this. The V's got this on. They used to be on the front, the little round dial, and that's how it used to be on the XE. Well, the XE4 hasn't got that. People are moaning about that. I mean, me, I use autofocus all the time. It's pretty rare I'll flip it to manual focus, but I've got it set up so it's just on the My menu. As soon as you press the menu button, all Fuji cameras go straight to My menu, and the autofocus on mine is the top one. So I press the menu button, it's there at the top, pick what focus mode, bosh, you're away. So like I said, I use auto ISO, and I press this little button on the top and you've got your 3 auto ISO settings. Straight away on the back, you know, you've got 3 settings, 3 different ISOs, so you've got 3 different ranges. On mine, on the first one, you know, I have it minimum and I have it up to 800 ISO. I'll put it on that if it's a sunny day. The middle one goes up to 1600, so I use that if it's a little bit cloudy, and if I'm like out and about in the dark, I use the third one, which I have go up to 64. I don't go the full hog, which is what, 128. I just do the 64, and that's how I use my ISO. It's quick, it's fast and easy to move. So I think a lot of the people who are like, oh, there's not these buttons, there's not that button, they haven't really they haven't got this camera, they haven't tried it out. I've gone out and took pictures out on the street with this camera for a couple of weeks now, just since it came out, and I really love it. I like the idea that it's got the tilt screen. I'm not a massive lover of flip screens, and And I think that's the same for a lot of photographers. The flip screen is more if you're doing videography, you want to see yourself, you're doing that sort of thing. I think the tilt screen, for me, you know, and photographers who maybe shoot on the street, it's great because you can tilt it up and it's like a level waist finder. You're looking down at the camera, people just think you're fiddling with the camera, but you actually can see what's going on, you know, and you can make some photographs like that and it's a bit more discreet. So I'm really loving that. I've got the old 35mm 1.4 lens on there, which is a lot slower autofocus lens compared to, say, the modern versions. But even on this camera, I've not really had any problems with autofocus. You know, it's just as quick on that camera as it is on the XT4. So that is excellent news for me. I mean, the sole purpose, like I said, was I wanted two cameras that are very similar in size. This looks slightly bigger because it's got like a bigger lens on the front. Because of its wider aperture, it's a bigger lens, but it's still quite small and compact, that is kind of what I like to use. I didn't really want to take out the XT. I have used that lens on an XT, but this camera, I've got the grip on there. I mean, I like the idea of a grip because I'm not using that camera with a strap on there. There's no wrist strap or neck strap. I just hold it in my hand, so it's good to have a grip and you got a bit more purchase on it, so I don't feel like I'm going to drop it. What else? Now I've really blacked this camera right out. We've got a black shutter release. I blacked the writing out. Hopefully you can't see it. That's the idea. So that is what I was going for with that camera. My XT is the silver version, but my X100V and this XE4 are both black, and I like the idea of black cameras. It's kind of old school look, I suppose. Now, I don't know how lots of you guys sort your cameras, how you have them set up, but for me, you know, the lack of buttons on there really isn't an issue for me. Like I said, I use auto ISO. I've told you how I set that up, and I normally have it on autofocus. Now, I'm the same as everyone else. I don't want to go in all the menus to sort all my settings out and things like that. It takes a lot of time. Sometimes you can't even remember where certain things are until you've had the camera a long time. So you're faffing around like that. Whereas I get it how I want it before I even leave the house, and I know I've just got to turn it on and I'm away. And you know, if the conditions change, it gets a bit dark or whatever, or I'm out as the light's going, you know, I can change the ISO quick, and it's quick, it's easy to do. One button, move the joystick, you're exactly where you want to be. It's the same with the focus, but I'm 99% autofocus, so that doesn't bother me at all. But you know, as far as the settings go, set it up when you're at home, how you shoot. There's no need for, you know, a shit ton of buttons. There isn't. Yes, I used to really like to be able to use the D-pad on an X Pro 2 when I had that, but since having the V with no D-pad, you know, I've just got so used to there not even being a D-pad on there, and occasionally I'll use manual, have it set manual, so I'm adjusting the shutter speed and the ISO, but it's not all the time. It's if I'm looking for, say, I want some movement, so I'm looking for that slower shutter speed, and I don't want the ISO to change, you know, I'll set it like that. But that's only if I'm looking for a specific shot. So to me, there's no need for everyone to be worried about the lack of buttons. You know, everyone's kind of giving the camera a little bit of a hard time. It's a great little camera. Look at it, it just looks so slick. I love it. I love the tilt screen. You know, I've not even tried using it, say, without the grip and the thumb grip. I might not use the thumb grip as much, because although I don't really go in the Q menu a lot when I'm out and about, you can get to it, but it's awkward with the thumb grip there. And I don't know what it's like on because I've never used a thumb grip on any other Fuji camera. And I know people, you might want to film with it, and I'm sure I heard someone ask this on a different video. And you know, if you've got the camera on and you want to flip it to video mode, you can literally press the drive button and just go up, which will then bring you right to the bottom, which is video mode straight away. So the video mode's on the bottom and your standard one shot stills mode is on the top. So when you turn the camera on and you're on stills at the top, you just press that joystick, press the drive button, that comes up on the side of the screen, press the joystick up and you go straight to the bottom and you're in video mode. Quick as that. You know, I mean, it's not a proper review. I'm just sort of, I wanted to talk about it because the way everyone was kind of having a little dig about the lack of buttons, and I don't want people to be put off, you know, in not getting it. If you like the look of it and you think, oh, that'd be a really great camera, because you like your V. I mean, the idea for me was I'll be able to change lenses, or not so much change it, but it's changeable. But I like the 35, so I wanted something of a similar size that I could put the 35 on, and you know, it's still nice and slick and small looking, just like the V. It's like I've got two Vs, but I can change the lens on this one. A couple of things that maybe, or obviously aren't as good as on the V is, if you can hear this, are you ready? Hang on. That's the shutter sound on there. You get the V. You really can't hear it. That leaf shutter on there is so quiet. Obviously you're not going to get that with this, but it's still quiet, you know? I mean, I had that right up to the camera, so to my mic, so you could hear it. But that's one thing, it isn't as stealthy, but you know, you can switch it to electronic shutter all the time if you want, and obviously there's no noise, quiet. And the other thing, and I think someone else did mention this, because I like to shoot 50-50, say, viewfinder and with the screen out, so I'm doing waist level. Now, because you can tilt this screen all the way up, so like selfie mode, there was probably something not quite right with the software inside, and if I sort of tilted the camera forward or back, once that screen was out level, it tended to flip the image as if I'd put it all the way up. So I'm looking at an upside down picture and I was like, you know, I was missing a few shots like that, and I thought, oh bloody hell, you know, this if that's going to constantly do that, it's going to go back. You know, I love everything else about it, but this was really driving me nuts. And then Fuji released a firmware update the other day, and I read it didn't really say about a lot being on there, bug fixes and that, and I guess that they're just saying that was a bug fix, because I've been out with it since, and you know, it's not done it at all. So it's something they fixed in the firmware straight away, and the camera's not been out like a month or so. So you're like, fantastic, Fuji, they're on the case. Love it. So if you're thinking about getting the XE4, don't let a few missing buttons put you off. It's a great little camera, and I'm really loving it. I made a few street pictures with this camera and lens combination, and they'll be at the end of the video, so if you fancy looking at those, stick around. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, guys. Remember to like and subscribe, it does make all the difference. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. you.